This is the brand new David Beckham Predator from Adidas, and I have to say, I'm not that impressed. And it's not for the reasons that you might be thinking. So let's get into it. We'll start with the box, which I actually think is fantastic. I love these new premium Adidas boxes. This is the same as you got on the Bad Bunny Messies. And this, of course, featuring the trefoil logo all throughout, because that is the big story of this, is that they have added the trefoil to a Predator for the very first time at the behest of Mr. David Beckham himself. If you are wondering why I have two pairs sitting here of a boot, that is in fact made of fusion skin, which is leather, and this is the Boot Wizard channel and I don't review leather. Well, these are actually for two friends of mine over in the US, and I am sending them out to them. So these are going over to Boot Maniac, to Julio, so go and find him on Instagram, and these to Las Vegas Football Club. Also go and find him on Instagram, give them some support, and I'm sure they'll both be able to fill you in on additional questions you might have once this review is over. But let's take a look at the boots. You do get a string bag, I should mention, which is the very standard Adidas mesh bag with the trefoil logo on the front. It's nothing special, but it is nice to get. And back to the boots again. It's not the looks as to why I've not been massively impressed by these. I mean, look at them. They are fairly gorgeous. The blue in the tongue is the main highlight, everything else on a white base, and these lovely details in the silver up the stripes with the trefoil logo running all through it, all the way through the sole plate, the big blue trefoil logo here, and again those silver running all the way through the sole plate. I think this just looks fantastic. There's even lovely little details. You've got the Predator in the blue there, and again that Adidas Originals logo just on the underside of the strap with the trefoil and the only Beckham branding you're going to find just here. So this is something that isn't an issue for me, but I understand why it might be for some people. The story is very much about the logo, about a Beckham design, not the fact that these are a Beckham boot. So there is no Beckham logo here. You all know the one, the Beckham striking the free kick silhouette. Yes, I would have loved to have seen that on one of the tongues, but I understand the story. That's not the story. That's not what they were telling. They're not making a Beckham boot. They're making a boot designed by Beckham. This is not my problem. You've also got the insoles with the more Beckham branding. Again, the logoing all throughout and just a little one on the heel here. As far as how these look, I think absolutely fantastic. Let's get to it though. What don't I like and why don't I like it? Well, firstly, my issue stems from the tongue. So the tongue has been made out of leather. I don't think this is a fusion skin material. It is simply a leather material. And let's just strap that down very quickly and do a quick comparison to what you're going to get on the regular retail FT Pred. Now, because this is leather, it just doesn't hold its same shape as the one on the FT Pred, which is a hybrid touch material that has been shaped. I'm not too upset that there's no striking elements on this particular area of the boot as there is here, but I just think this looks a lot cleaner and a lot sleeker in the FT when compared to the Beckham. As you can see, it just doesn't sit down quite as nicely. So a small nitpick, you might say. But the big difference is, of course, the hybrid touch upper versus the fusion skin upper. And for any of you who don't know, fusion skin is essentially a version of leather that is blended with other materials such as a knit base and then a top coating that allows Adidas to do things like add these strike skin fins. You can't just glue things or attach things to leather, normal leather, in this way, which is why fusion skin is so impressive, because it allows you to do that with things like this. But this isn't a particularly impressive material, not out of the box anyway. This is quite stiff, it's reasonably rigid, and it's absolutely not helped in any of the areas where the strike skin fins are. Now, it may break in nicely, and as I say, go and check out the lads who are going to be wearing these for those full details. But if I was to pay 300 euros or 280 euros, as I think they were for these, and get them out of the box like this with very little other information, I think I'd be a little bit disappointed. I mean, even compared to the Hybrid Touch, which isn't the softest thing in the world, the Hybrid Touch is probably softer out of the box. I would find that a bit disappointing, and I think overall, just the design and appearance of the two boots side by side, the Beckham one just doesn't look as good. It doesn't look maybe even as well finished. It's a little bit disappointing. Now, there is something to consider here, which is the way that the boots have been built might definitely appeal to certain people. Now, obviously these are different sizes, but you can see that this is much more sculpted, has a much lower toe box and pinches in and is generally a little bit narrower, doesn't have the volume. Whereas you get a much wider toe box here, you get much more volume through the toe box and just a generally wider boot. And I think this is definitely going to appeal to your old school Pred heads, you guys who have been dying for the mania to come back since 2002. This kind of fit, this kind of wider, looser fit and styling is probably much more what they're looking for. But personally, I just think side by side, the regular Predator FT is just far more impressive in terms of its looks, and the performance is also going to be of a higher standard. Now, if you can really break in this fusion skin to an amazing point and it doesn't overstretch and your foot fits the outline of this boot, you might find you're on to an absolute winner. But it's just, I don't know, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the finish and the feel out of the box. Like, even if we look around the toe area here, I don't know how well this will show up, just the way that it's bonded, you can already see that it seems like there's a little bit of pulling there. And here, I'm just not sure that the quality, the end product, that last 2% to really stand this out as an exceptional football boot has actually been completed to a high enough level, and they're kind of relying on the Beckham name and the fusion skin hype to carry over from the success they had with the Rotero. Looks amazing, but a boot that I would actually be happy about having come through my mailbox instead of this? Maybe not. Could be a controversial opinion, let me know down in the comments, and if you want to see my review of the regular Predator, then click this link right here and go and check out my men at Bootmaniac and at Las Vegas Football Club to see what they think of their boots once they've done their playtests.